we have some reporting from Randy Miller of New Jersey Advanced Media. Essentially,
is this reporting?
I mean, that's what he's calling it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to call it. Reporting, citing a Skenes teammate with some quotes suggesting that Paul Skenes does not want to be on the Pirates anymore, that Paul Skenes wants to be a Yankee. This anonymous Pirates teammate that is being quoted as saying, "Trust me." He said this plenty of times that he wants to be. Trust me, bro.
Would walk around the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And he would holler,
Yankee
would just, me.
Wah, I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah. Trust me.
He would wear pinstripes on the team plane. He was watching videos of the bleacher creatures.
Watching the Yankees. Yep. He was just like doing he's a Yankees fan. All he wants to do is be on the Yankees. And now here's the thing. At this point in the conversation, we could go hard into the premise itself and who this anonymous teammate could be, because again, Paul Skenes hasn't been around for very long, and there's only a certain number of players that would probably be talking to New York media. We could go hard into that on its own. We could do that. That is an option.
Sure.
However, in this Choose Your Own Adventure podcast, we are instead going to focus on another way to push back against the premise of this report, and that is to just talk about Paul Skenes from our observations, but also using Paul Skenes' words himself and Paul Skenes' story and what Paul Skenes has essentially always been about. And while, yes, obviously, as people who observe this sport, we too can look at the Pirates situation and the fact that, while it has only been 2 years, they have not given us a lot of reasons for optimism that they are going to win around Paul Skenes. That is a real conversation we are allowed to have and will probably continue to have in some form in the coming years. What we will not do is pretend like that this is reflective at all of who Paul Skenes is as a person. And when Paul Skenes was asked about this, and kind of in the way that he just talked about what this award meant to him and just what he is thinking about right now, I think that gives us a better sense of kind of where Paul Skenes' headspace is at.
Okay. Can we pull the quote back up? Like, that was on all the graphics. I think it says, "Trust me, he wants to play for the Yankees. I've heard him say it multiple times." I don't believe that. I'll say it. I believe that this was relayed to Randy Miller by someone. You can spend a little time online and figure out who. But I just don't, I think that either this is out of context or this didn't happen, because like, okay, so here's an example, right? Would I like to work at ESPN, right? If ESPN said, "Jake, we want to pay you a lot of money to, talk about baseball," I'd be like, yes. I don't think that's insulting to my employers here at Yahoo Sports, who I love, a place we love working at, right? But like, yeah, that would be cool if it all came together. Sure. But like, that is how Paul Skenes is thinking about this. If someone said to Paul Skenes, "Hey, do you want to play for the Yankees?" He'd be like, "Yeah, that'd be pretty cool one day." But that is so different than Paul Skenes like walking up to a teammate and be like, "You know what I like? I want to play for the Yankees," right? That's what I want. It just is not how this guy moves. We have been fortunate enough to interact with Paul Skenes a number of times over the last couple of years. I sat down with him for 20 minutes one-on-one in spring training. We talked to him when he was at LSU in college. We chatted with him at the All-Star game this year. Paul Skenes is not someone who is like trying to get out. He's not a jump ship guy, okay? I think that has been evidenced by his behavior over the years. I think it is evidenced by how difficult it was for him to leave Air Force and jump plane to go to LSU. That was a no-brainer decision. Every step of the way, whether it's financial, his career. If he had stayed one more year at Air Force, he would have had to serve and then would have just been in the Air Force for 5 years. And we probably wouldn't be talking about Paul Skenes at all, right? Like, people would not know Paul Skenes' name. Be like, "Oh, wow, he just finished his service. He's coming back." Instead, he goes to LSU, and I think that was a difficult decision for him. It was an obvious decision, but a difficult one, and that just shows you that this is a guy that is not looking for the easy way out. Do I think he will eventually be traded by the Pirates who don't spend any money? Maybe. Probably. Sadly. Do I think Paul Skenes will initiate that? No. No, I do not. I think Paul Skenes is in Pittsburgh. He is there to win. He does not have a half of an eye on the next job, right? He wants to be there and he wants to win there. Because if you win there, you are eternal there. And that is the thing. That is what is alluring about being in a place like Pittsburgh right now, is that if you win, you get a statue, brother. And Paul Skenes is someone, clearly, who understands greatness, right? And he thinks that he can help build it where he is.
Yeah, and that's the big part, I think, is this is not someone, again, we can look at their development or their track record of developing hitters and the fact that they've gone backwards and keep losing. We can very reasonably do that and objectively say, I don't really believe in the Pirates. But if you're Paul Skenes and all you've done over the last 4 years, is essentially will your way through a combination of unbelievable talent and work ethic to essentially whatever it is that you have set your mind to, I can understand Paul Skenes being like, we're going to win. We're going to win at Pittsburgh, and I'm going to be a part of that because I'm Paul Skenes. I'll make it happen. We know that Paul Skenes can only do so much because he only starts, 30 to 33 games a year.
Let him hit.
But I do think that, and he's not going to suddenly turn the Pirates into a $200 million payroll. But I do think that the more that he speaks, and again, we're not even doing his kind of quotes justice. Like, I encourage everyone to go read the stories that came out after he won, and just him talking about the city and talking about what his motivation level is and his involvement in the recent hiring of their new pitching coach, Bill Murphy, and just like, this is something that he wholeheartedly believes, like, yes, I am going to be part of a winning Pirates team. And while we can doubt that because of all the things that have nothing to do with him, who are we to tell Paul Skenes that he can't do something? Who am I to say? And yeah, you can squint and be like, no, this is a pretty freaking good pitching staff. They only need a couple hitters, and it's the NL Central. Who knows? They don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, unfortunately, right now. Paul Skenes, though, he absolutely does. The Pirates do not deserve, our defense from they are building. No, they don't. They haven't earned that. Paul Skenes has. Paul Skenes deserves the belief that this report, this suggestion, is at worst, misleading, or at best, I would say misleading, and at worst, just completely nonsensical. And so that's where we're at.
Unfortunately, it worked. Fortunately, it worked because we're talking about it, and I guarantee this got Mondo clicks.
Yep.
But it is just not. It's just misconstruing the way that professional athletes think about their careers, really, right?
Yeah. But especially,
it's like, I'm sure Paul Skenes, when he played I believe he started in Yankee Stadium at the end of his rookie year. It was like gross out and raining. I'm sure it was like, this is a cool place to pitch. That would be cool to pitch here one day. But it's not like taking up his thoughts. He's not dreaming of the Bronx, right? That is not really happening. The job, to be good at the job, you have to be so laser focused that you can't really think about the big picture all that often. Like, I think about Kyle Schwarber, who all year was like, I asked him this on the record and off the record. It's like, are you thinking about free agency? He was like, honestly, no. He's like, I'm not. Like, I do not have the mental energy to DH every day and hit 50 whatever home runs and run a clubhouse and think about where I'm going to live or play next year. It's just like, that time will come. I will get there. These dudes are so good at compartmentalizing because it's the way that they succeed, right? Yes, they are making millions of dollars because they're very skilled at hitting or throwing ball, but they have these elite mental skills in order to compartmentalize, and I think that is just how they operate. And I think reporting this shows a distinct misunderstanding of that dynamic in a way that is frankly embarrassing, whether or not it was said. And so I think it's just kind of like lazy and disappointing is what I would say.